Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I am James Haskell, along with my co-host, Glenn Martin. We are here tonight on a Tuesday night to talk about all the things that have transpired now that we've had some time to take a look at the game, the Ravens' victory over the Patriots, give you some thoughts as we've talked about this a little more, as we've broke this down a little more in depth, answer some questions, some concerns, talk about some acquisitions, some injuries, all things Ravens. We're here to keep you updated. So Glenn, how you doing tonight on a lovely Tuesday?
Oh, I'm doing good. It's always a good week when the Ravens win. I get to turn on Get Up and I turn on NFL Network and I just get to watch them heap praise upon the quarterback Lamar Jackson here in Baltimore, and I love it. But I must admit, when things don't go so well, I'm a little less eager to turn on ESPN, and maybe I duck it here and there. So this is a good week, Jimbo.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you at all. I watched the highlights multiple times after a win. I don't get tired of it.
Nope.
Obviously, after a loss, I'm not too excited to watch the highlights, even though that's something
Especially
we have
last
to do.
week.
Yeah, exactly. That was a tough one. But Glenn, now that we're in the thick of week 4. Of
Hmm.
course, the Ravens are going to be moving on to the Bills. We're transitioning into that as well as the Ravens are. As far as the roster goes, we have some injury updates. We also have some roster updates. I think the best spot to start probably injury updates. John gave some news, so I figured talking about that a little bit probably be good.
Yeah, as I anticipate a sneeze, it's just right on the brink, making me wonder if it's going to happen or not. Maybe not. Maybe it's not going to happen. So the big injuries. If I'm missing one, let me know here,
Yep.
Jimbo. But the big ones coming out of last week's game with Patrick McCarry, who had the ankle injury. Looks like they're calling it a low ankle sprain as of right now, so avoided that dreaded high ankle sprain, which typically keeps guys sidelined for about 6 weeks. Not sure how long the low ankle sprain is, but it seems less severe than the high ankle, and so I think the expectation is that he's not going to miss that much time here.
Yeah.
Jimbo, is that what you're
Yep.
hearing?
Yeah, I heard that. Of course, he avoided major injury there, and typical McCarry fashion to bounce back quickly, and just once again, he's just a lunch pail type guy. So I'm not
Hmm.
surprised.
Yeah, thank goodness, because man, you're getting awfully thin there at guys that can play left tackle. As Falele is going into his first start at that position in maybe his lifetime, except for high school, I guess.
Well, I don't even. This is the thing that's confusing about Falele is that he grew up in he was in Australia. So how much high school football did he? I
Oh
know he played
yeah,
1 year right at when he
at
came over to the
IMG
state.
or something like
Yeah.
that,
So
or
mm,
yeah, not a lot. So
right.
yeah, McCarry. Let's hope that he's not out, and let's hope that Ronnie Stanley is
Yeah.
on his way back. Which, of course, at this point, no updates currently on that front. It seems like they're waiting for Ronnie to feel ready. Is what kind of Harbaugh is making it clear. It looks as though, man, they're it seems like John is doing everything he can to hide his frustration over the Ronnie Stanley issue, if you want to call it that. But I'm starting to sense that there's some frustration from John's part.
Yeah, I mean, how could there not be, right? Like, there's really no timeline. There's no. I don't know. Maybe communication isn't great. I don't know. Maybe rightfully so. He's really nervous. Like, especially this week, it's so hard to think when the timing is right. Last week, you could have said, "Oh, well, he's matched up against Weiss, he's matched up against Judon." This week, he'd potentially be matched up against Von Miller, right? So, like,
Hmm.
what week is right? And then the week before that, it would have been Miami. No, every matchup every week is going to be difficult. Just look around in our division. You got T.J. Watt, you got Myles Garrett, you got Clowney, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's just so difficult. At what point do you say, "All right, dude, like let's get this over with. You're gonna sink, you're gonna swim. What's it gonna be?"
Yep.
And we love you either way, but let's figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's rip the Band-Aid off and figure this thing out. So I did
Mm.
notice that as well, and it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. But since we're talking about Falele, I have a question here. Two-part question. Does it make sense? We'll do the first part, and we'll kind of talk about it. Does it make sense to say McCarry's 60, 70%, 75%? Does it make sense to plug him back in there? Or do we roll with the rookie? What would be your preference? And then even beyond that, say McCary's 100%, but like, did we see enough to give Falele some momentum? You know what I mean? To give him an opportunity to lengthen that leash a little bit and let him sit out there and learn, or do we need to go right back to McCary?
Well, I'm glad we're kind of jumping back into a little bit of last week's games because
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought that Falele made huge strides from the first half to the second half. He was light years better. And so, yeah, I'm fine with McCary certainly waiting until he's back to full strength at the very least. I don't want to see him out there if he's at 70, 80%. Not with the play that I saw from Falele. Now, there's still obviously room for improvement, and I can't wait for Ronnie Stanley to be back. But what I saw was a guy who's, I mean, it's incredible the athleticism this guy has. If he would have gotten into football sooner, I think he would have been much further along, and he'd be a real stud now at this tackle position because he's got such athleticism, such bend. He's so big, so long, so strong. It's just experience is all he really needs. It doesn't seem like there's a tool missing from his bag other than just reps on the field and certainly at that position. So I'm happy with what I saw from him in his first showing. I think there's no reason to believe he's not going to continue to get better. And I think the Ravens will be better prepared to help him, knowing that he's going to be going from snap one. So I think you let McCary stay out until he feels as close to 100% as you can go, unless of course he starts to collapse at the tackle position. But man, he was he started slow off his he slow out of his set in the first half and just wasn't getting deep at all. And the guy was running right around him. But the second half started, totally different player. So yeah, let's see what the young guy's got if Ronnie's not ready.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I agree with you on that, Glenn. I think we let him rock because at the end of the day, what the Ravens are trying to achieve is be a big physical downhill offensive line. And we know he meets a lot of the requirements that you can't teach. And I think he has, like you said, he has all the physical and athletic abilities to learn quickly and apply what he's learning quickly, where you almost want to take him and McCary and mash them together, right? Like McCary has everything that Falele doesn't have. Falele has everything that McCary probably is envious of, right? Like as players. But I think that Falele can learn quickly and has a much higher ceiling. So I tend to agree with you. This is my follow-up question. Ronnie comes back. He's rolling. Do you take Falele and is it too much to then say, you know what, dude, you did really good at left tackle. We're going to put you in at left guard. Like, is that then just too much for the young guy? I don't know. Am I nitpicking at this point to try and figure out what's going on at the left guard and see if we can improve it somehow?
Well, I think that if Ronnie's back, you let Falele now work on his new role as the swing tackle for at least this season. And I think you may be a little unfair to what Powers has done so far this year. I know he's not. He's certainly not anybody's pick as the best on the offensive line. But man, the guy's been better than what we could have ever imagined. I mean, I think the Ravens were doing everything to give the job to Tyree Phillips this offseason until Powers just kept hanging in there, keeping consistent, not having those mental errors. And now this offensive line, from a pass blocking standpoint, you take away those first few plays from when Falele came in, they have been impressive.
Yeah.
And that's including Ben Powers. So let's let him keep doing what he's doing. I know that there's still room that he needs to grow, but man, I'm going to stick with what this guy's putting out there because right now they're blocking for the MVP of the league.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So we talked about some insignificant. Well, Houston also seems to avoid an insignificant injury. We talked about McCary. Obviously, Calais Campbell came back. I think we should probably talk about the significant injury that we know of. And we don't know all the details about it, but Michael Pierce, of course, looks to have suffered a significant injury. When we get more details about it, we'll let you know. But he's definitely going to miss time.
Yep.
So really what it comes down to is this. Does Travis Jones, in my opinion, the you could add in Broderick Washington, some other guys, but really, does Travis Jones have what it takes to make up for what we're missing in Michael Pierce? I think that's going to be really interesting to see. So my thoughts on it are, I'm a bit nervous right now because Michael Pierce was playing so well. At moments, he was so dominant in the middle. I think he was destined for a really great season, and we're going to hope that that injury isn't, 10, 12 weeks or anything like that, maybe 3 to 4. But I'm a bit concerned here, Glenn. I'm a bit concerned with this one. And I don't know if Travis, not that he doesn't have the ability to do so, but I think, he's got a ways to go before he can have an impact like maybe a Michael Pierce, can have at this point in his career. He's, just played his first game going into second. So are you nervous about filling in that role?
Well, anytime you lose a player like Michael Pierce, that's not good. He's a heck of a player. The dude was having a hell of a season. I think everybody would agree there. And he brings something to this team that, not a lot of guys have, the ability to be a two-way type of player. He's fantastic against the run, and he was also providing a little push against, in the pass game, but certainly anchors the middle of that defense in the run, can take on the double team and really aids those around him, including the linebackers, and makes their jobs easier. So I think they're going to miss him. But the good thing is they are deep at that position and they're talented. We always talked about, building up to this game or this season that there wasn't going to be a big drop off when number 1 went out and number 4 came in. It's just they're good from top to bottom. So Brent Urban's been inactive. It was inactive this past week when Travis Jones was up. I expect him to be active next week. And I think it's still a hell of a group even without Michael Pierce. But let's just hope that they get him back, because if you lose another one, then you lose. You just don't want a rash of injuries at that one position like we've seen at left tackle and edge.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about really quickly. Let's go back to O-line. Devon Allen says, I thought EDC gave Lamar what he wanted in a beast of an O-line. I think that they have the potential. That was actually going to be my I skipped ahead, but my other question was going to be, what can we expect of this O-line now that we've kind of seen a few games? But Devon, I think what it really comes down to is health. Like, the offensive line has the potential to be very good. The weak spot being, theoretically speaking, health, not a question, being left guard, which, like you said, isn't a bad thing because Power's been playing well, but Ronnie's not healthy. Moses hasn't been really playing up to stuff. He's had moments, but I think we expect a little more. And so it just leaves a lot of things unanswered at this point. So I'm not going to say that EDC hasn't, but he certainly right now it's not healthy enough to make a judgment.
Yeah, but it's definitely an encouraging.
Yes.
I'd say the group, if you had to, I'd label it as encouraging because I feel pretty good. Yeah, Moses had some issues certainly in the first couple games, but he's a vet who I expect to get better in this offense as the year goes, and we know that he has a history of suiting up every Sunday, and so I think as long as he continues to post, continues to practice, that he'll get back to being, the solid vet that they expected him. Zeitler, I think, is playing, above average football. Linderbaum, I mean, what more can you say about it? He's gonna
Did you
slowly
see some of the breakdown on some of him, man?
Dude, the guy is just, I mean, he's just everybody who's into offensive line play, he's like the dream because he's just so gritty, so tough. He uses such great leverage. So despite his lack of size, it's just,
what I didn't realize, because I'm not an offensive line expert, but I didn't realize on the interior how important, like, his speed he uses to such an advantage when he goes from one guy to another like that. I mean, and he's so much faster than the big boys that are in front of him, who might be bigger than him, sure, but he's able to help out and move from assignment to assignment so quickly that it's incredible. You talked about, like, putting him on special teams isn't even unrealistic.
I'm telling you, create a roster spot, coach. Nick Moore, I'm sorry. I'm sure you're a nice guy. You do good at your job, but we could create a valuable roster spot. Let Linderbaum do it. Sean Pisker says, I missed it, guys. What's wrong with Pierce? Gone for the season. Well, an update was asked. Of course, if everybody doesn't remember, Michael Pierce was carted to the locker room last week's game. Harbaugh said that Pierce will get looked at further tomorrow, but to determine the severity. But it says Pierce might have a decision to make, which didn't sound encouraging. So it sounds like it could ultimately be a choice between surgery or rehab and rest. And if it's surgery, it could mean the season is over.
And you can't blame a guy for wanting to get surgery. You know what I mean? Like,
no, because it's just his career,
Yeah, I get it.
But,
a lot of people will say, oh, you should tough it out, this, that, and the other. It's so easy to say that on the outside, but.
Yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't want to have to make that choice, especially because if you do take the risk and decide to rehab and rest, you don't even know if it could be one of those things where you're not sure if that's even the fix. And
or if it gets worse.
Yeah, you might ultimately end up getting surgery just down
Remember
the line.
What happened with Jimmy Smith with the Achilles? They managed that all year, and then at the end of the season,
popped.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound good for Michael Pierce, that's for sure.
Yeah, so we'll keep you updated on that, Sean. But it's going to be interesting to see what transpires there. So Glenn, we've talked about health.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some acquisitions. I think you got some exciting news for us as well, right? We signed a few guys and gave a tryout to a few guys, some offensive linemen and some edge guys. What do we got going on?
Yeah, so there's been some change into the position. First and foremost, I want to bring up, we were talking about it in last week's post game, and admittedly, I guess we should have known that JPP had yet to pass his
Oh yeah,
physical. So we were talking quite emotionally after the game, but yeah, now he has signed his physical,
there we go.
and so he is now officially on the team as of yesterday. So, yeah, exciting news there. Definitely need it as Justin Houston is now battling a groin injury. Don't know the extent of that injury and how long he'll be out, but let's hope that's not too terribly long. Also, at the edge position, they brought in Jeremy Atalcho. I think I'm probably messing
Your
that
guess
up.
is as good as mine, my man.
Yeah, I'm probably butchering that. Last seen, Jeremy Atalcho was last seen as a Chicago Bear. Looks like he had, let's see, played 5 games with the Bears last season. He's an 8-year vet, has 20 and a half sacks in his career, and he is currently is he on the practice squad? Yes, practice squad. And they cut TJ Carey as a result of that as well. The cornerback that they recently signed a couple days ago. Also cut and released Daryl Worley, another veteran cornerback from the practice squad, and signed guard Zach Johnson. Another fan favorite, also gone from the practice squad, Mekhi Polk. So in total, Mekhi Polk, Daryl Worley, and TJ Carey all gone from the practice squad. They brought in Zach Johnson. They brought in Jeremy Atalcho, and they brought in on a tryout basis, what's his name? 2 tackles, Ty Nitschke
Mm-hmm.
and Alex Taylor. Man, they're really messing with these names.
Yeah, they're
man.
testing you today, my man.
So lots of practice squad maneuvering, not surprising with the injuries, always occurring week to week. They're doing some juggling, and let's see how it ultimately kind of pans out.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, and of course we follow the Ravens the closest, but Eric DeCosta continuing to try and do everything he can to mitigate damage and get this team along to where they continue to compete while guys continue to get healthy. So on that note, Glenn, I wanted to bring up some of the thoughts I had after looking at this game, and I just wanted to bounce them back and forth with you. So something that I wrote down when I was thinking was, so at the we're not fully healthy, but one of the things I was thinking about, let me see here. So I said, this is what I wrote, and I might be able to articulate this better in word here that I wrote down. While we're not a fully healthy team yet, we were not at our best in week 1. Probably still the most impacted team by injury going into the season. How good can this team really be? So what I'm trying to say there is that I think that week 1, it's fair to say we were probably still the most impacted team if you look at the positions at that point, right? Like from previous injuries the year prior. Now, a lot of teams I think are on the opposite trajectory. While we're still handling issues, right? Like as the season progresses, I think that our health is trending in the right way. I think a lot of teams trending the wrong way. Look at the Bills, for example, who we're playing up against. So my question really is, 1, how exciting is that? But 2, how good can this team really be, right? Like ultimately that's the question, and how much will health play into that? So where does that, knowing that we're trending in the right way, does that give you hope in knowing that, the Dolphins are power ranked ESPN number 1 team in the NFL, which is, blowing my mind. And there's all these other teams that are losing guys while we're getting stronger, right? Like how much more runway is there for this team to improve?
No, certainly they have a ton of room for improvement. The only issue there is as they get guys back that they don't continue to absorb more injuries, along the way. That's the only issue. But if everything goes, how it is right now, these guys are expected to come back and make impacts. It could be big time, Jimbo. As long as they don't suffer any more big time injuries, then it's almost as if they're making multiple mid-season transactions and bringing in Pro Bowl level talent. When you think about what they're going to be bringing back at left tackle, what they're going to be bringing back at the edge with Bowser, and hopefully Ajabo is going to be coming back and making an instant impact. Yeah, it's exciting. Now it all hinges on if they can maintain what they currently have now. That way, those additions are in addition to and not in replace of other guys going down. That's the big thing for me. So, yeah, exciting nonetheless. But let's just hope that if there are bumps and bruises along the way, that there are those week to 2 week to 3 week injuries and not those season enders like we got hit with last season.
Yeah, absolutely. So my thought was that I really am getting hopeful about this team because I think that from a health perspective, we have so much more runway, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that maybe some other teams that they peak early on. I really think based on injury, we have the ability to peak late in the season. So I think that's something worth remembering as the season progresses. Cakes Mitchell has a death wish for me because he said if Stanley can't
Or for
go,
Lamar.
yeah, exactly. I'd probably die before Lamar, though. Let's be honest. Line up Jimbo at left tackle. Cakes, come on, man. You got to do me like that. Like, I mean, I would just get absolutely demolished. I would have a cleat, Glenn, a step, a guy would step on my chest. It would be from belt to neck. Just,
dude, I don't know. Hey, you remember when we met Cakes at that? You showed a little pass pro when he came up with that bear hug on you. I saw you absorb it. You got down into your base, dude. I saw you anchor and absorb that power hug that Cakes put on you.
Dude, you know I got a strong lower half, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of Cakes, dude.
That's right. Bailey got beat. Says shout out to DK. Yeah, shout out to DK. He's currently in parts unknown, but yeah, shout out to DK.
Absolutely, always doing a million things for us.
That's right. Absolutely. Busy guy. All right. So I got a question I want to kick to you, Jim.
Yeah.
And then we'll get back to your list here.
Yeah.
I got an interesting trend I'm watching as I observe the snaps. Every week we look at the snap counts, we review them, we go over them. And there's two guys that I want to highlight in these snap counts. And the first of which is a young guy. It's a rookie. First week, Kyle Hamilton played 42 total snaps, 50% of the defense's total snaps. Week 2, he played in 38 snaps on defense, which was a total of 54% of their snaps. Week 3, 16 snaps, just 24%. What does this mean for Kyle Hamilton? Does this mean that the coaches are losing faith? Does this mean is this a trend that we'll see continue throughout the remainder of the season? Or is this game plan specific? That game plan called it for this, and that this could change as early as next week.
So you said 54, 52, and
50, 54, and 24.
Oh, so he went, all right. So he went up game 2, went down game 3. I'm going to chalk this one up to game specific strategizing. I don't think it will be a trend. Glenn, I don't think it will.
Is that the fan talking, or what is that?
No, because it's only been one game so far. Other than that, the trend was up.
But total plays 42, 38, 16.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That is true. But percentage-wise,
yep,
it was up. So this is the only thing that surprises me about that. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm certainly not an expert, no professor to be, but the New England Patriots seem to like their tight ends a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so logically speaking, without digging into the X and O's super deep in my mind, like, you would think that would be a good opportunity to deploy a guy more often, like a Kyle Hamilton,
if he's doing the job.
That's what I mean. So that's the only thing. While I say it's not going to be a trend, it also gives me cause to pause and think like, that would have been the game where I would have thought in my mind his snaps are going to go up, right? Yeah. Because that's a matchup where he can really show his physicality, his length, and coverability and things like that. So I don't know. I'm sticking right now with not a trend. You?
I'm a little concerned that that's at least going to be a short-term trend. But I think it's not just him. I think a lot of the young guys are being exposed. They were clearly being targeted in this past game and in the game before. So until they improve, I think you have to limit their snaps. But I get concerned of what that could mean for the vets absorbing that increased snap load. Tariq says, what about putting Hamilton on the mic? Well, I don't know if they want him in that scenario. I'm assuming you put him at Mike. I think that's what he means.
I think so, yeah.
Hamilton taking on blockers is probably something the coaching staff doesn't want to see.
He already looks like a basketball player, guys.
Yeah, I mean, putting him, unless it's a guaranteed passing situation, then I think they'd be hesitant to put him out there where he has to take on any guards or pulling tackles.
Could you imagine that? Any of those guys would just love to see 14 right in front of him. Oh,
Yeah, I wouldn't. You
Yeah,
wouldn't think
nice
that
day
would
in the
be.
office.
Yeah, let's. I wouldn't mind seeing him running with Dawson Knox coming up this upcoming week. But yeah, taking on any lineman, it could be tough. But he does have some length, so maybe he plays it better than I'm thinking. But also, I want to get into another one. So I said I had two trends here. I wanted to ask you
Okay.
about. My
Okay. Yeah.
second snap count trend is going to be about a guy on the very opposite end of the spectrum, playing in what most think is his final season. Calais Campbell, week
Mm.
1. 41 total defensive snaps, 49% of the total. Week 2, 45 defensive snaps, 63% of the total. Week 3, 59 total snaps, 89% of the defense's snaps. Jimbo, how can he sustain this type of snap count at his age? And if we lose Calais Campbell, then what the hell is this edge? Because they got his big ass out there making plays at edge.
Yeah, I mean, this is a trend, Glenn, that isn't going anywhere.
Oh, damn it.
Absolutely not. I mean, how can it at this point based on depth? And then he's just so versatile. He's so dependable. He's so good, right?
So good.
So I hope it's sustainable for Calais. I'll give Calais Campbell props for not just being reliable and dependable. I think a lot of it has to do with his smarts as a player. He knows. I think he knows a lot about himself. Dude, he's just tough. Did you see? Look, I got to say this really quickly. Quick aside. There are folks, I dabble in some running. There are folks that run, and as soon as something hurts, they're like, I quit. You know what I mean? Like, they do a body scan and it's over. And I get it. I respect it. Like, I get it. But you can also, like, body scan and run and, like, okay, I'm going to give it 5 minutes to see if this still hurts. And, like, okay, it went away or whatever, right? You can dissect. So did you see? I noticed this. As soon as Calais Campbell got hurt, he started a body scan. He moved the knee right away. He's like, all right, I still got, you know what I mean? Like, he just seems really smart.
Morgan Moses, too.
Yeah, knows his body super well. And I think that has a lot to do with his ability to stay out there on the field. And not to, I said it before, he's so versatile.
Yeah.
He can line up in any position on the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just so hard for me to say this number is going down, especially with Pierce now having suffered a significant injury.
I just worry, man, with his age. I just don't want to lose him, man. Not just his play, but his leadership.
No, you're right. I mean, I wish I was less concerned than you, but all we can do is take history, right? But he got hurt at the end of last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I
So
mean, he's always been, relatively healthy, but he has missed some time.
Yeah. So that's an interesting trend, Glenn, that I get I have to say I'm also a bit concerned about. But I want to go back really quickly. You talked about the secondary. You talked about a trend there with Kyle Hamilton. This is can you give me some trend on snap count for Marlon and for Marcus Peters?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I'd be happy to, because that's
that.
exactly where I was going.
Okay,
it's
good.
hilarious how how we kind of we're aligned there. So last week was Marcus Peters' first action, correct?
Second.
Well,
Miami.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said
right,
last
okay,
week.
Yeah.
So in his first bit of action, Marcus Peters played 44 snaps, 62%. So still pretty substantial for your first action back. Marlon Humphrey, 56 snaps, 79%. We all know he left the game and was injured at the end. Last week, Marlon Humphrey played 98% of the snaps, 65 of the defense's 66 snaps. So only missed one snap. But I tell you what, Marcus Peters wasn't far behind. 95% of the snaps. My man went right back into the deep end, Jimbo. He's not pussyfooting around. He's not dipping his toe in there to check temperature. He's cannonballing right in there. Back to his primary position. Back to his post on that opposite sideline. It's comforting to know that he's already back out there taking in that kind of load, and the fact that he seals it with the game-ending interception kind of to boot. And he also had a strip earlier that the guy ended up recovering himself, which could have been a big play. And then he had the legendary fumble recovery on the sideline. Jimbo, he's already back at it.
Yep. Yeah, and that's exactly what I wanted to get to. The trend that I want to know is when are we going to stop seeing Armour Davis? I'm just exhausted at this point. Like, not that I have no love.
Start, he played 9 snaps.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's not that I have no love for the young guy, but yeah, it is very apparent that every time he's out there, the quarterback is just getting
He
at
must
him.
have a target written, right?
Yeah, so it's a serious problem. So I
Yeah.
want to make sure that we keep seeing those 90s, high 90s for Marcus and Marlon, because that was a concern of mine. I'm glad to hear that is trending in the wrong direction, because I swear every time Armour Davis was out there, Mac Jones lasered in on him. Didn't even want to go anywhere else.
Yeah, 100%. Him,
So
and then Brandon Stevens when he was gone. But Brandon Stevens, I feel a little bit better. I know he got beat
yeah,
on some, but at least he battles. He's got. He didn't look lost out there.
yeah, he seems to be closer to the guys when they make the catches,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He might be getting whatted on, but at least he's in the picture frame. Murtaz Malik says, if Hurricane postpones Sunday Night Football, can they flex our game? Yeah, first and foremost, certainly hope everyone, if anyone's watching from
Yeah.
Florida, be safe. It sounds like it can get pretty ugly down
You're
there.
being encouraged not to stay home and protect your property.
Yes.
Go.
Protect yourselves.
Yes. Go protect yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Get yourself and your loved ones certainly
Stuff
to
can be
safety.
bought.
No doubt. Everything can be replaced, but not your family, pets, and loved ones. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be interesting with these teams because they're all moving around. I'm not sure, Tampa doesn't know where I think they're going to go get ready for this upcoming week at Miami's facility, and Miami's going to Cincinnati, and it's been a whole thing. So, yeah, good luck to everyone down there. Hope everybody makes it out okay.
Right. The only thing I don't know here, if like logistically and from a financial perspective, if you can go from network to network.
Yeah, that's a good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think they'd be able to do it. But shame on the NFL for not making this a primetime game.
I know. You're talking about
shame.
who didn't predict that this could be the two MVP favorites.
Yeah,
right
who
now?
lacked faith in Lamar Jackson? Because everybody's been.
Don't say it.
My mom was watching the show, so I'm not gonna say it. But everybody's been heaping praise on Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I don't know what you thought I was gonna say, but it was certainly derogatory.
Okay. I thought it was gonna be. I thought it would be. Hey, Adam says we need a stats guy. Did we get something wrong? I mean, I don't know what we got wrong.
You find us someone that wants to give us stats and data for free a couple nights a week.
I'll take it. But
that is seriously dedicated. Because let me tell you what, this takes time, man.
Yeah, no doubt. But I mean, I don't think my man Jeff Zrebic was getting the snap counts wrong. That's the only thing we've been talking is snap count. I don't think this is wrong. I'm looking at it right in front of me.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So people are trying to guess in the chat what I was going to say now. That's funny.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys another episode, but my mom's watching, so I can't.
All right. So my trends of snap counts are over.
Interesting.
But what do you have? What do you have?
Yeah. So I had something that went with that. What were we just? Oh, and somebody talked about in the chat. I want to stay on the offense before we move over to the defense. Obviously, Lamar Jackson has been playing incredible. This offense has been playing really well, other than the run game, which seems to be trending in the right direction. So
thanks to Lamar.
Well,
thanks to your guy. Justice Hill did all right.
And JK, look, I know his stats weren't great, but it is different. So my question is really this. How much of this does Greg Roman get credit for? Because Lamar gets all the credit, rightfully so. How much does Greg Roman deserve like a little bit of credit here?
Of course he does. Absolutely he does. I mean, why should he not? I mean, there's no doubt that Lamar is proving that he's I'm going to call him the elevator because he just elevates everyone around him. And so he has certainly the ability to cover up a couple holes around him, right? Like the hole of left tackle. He causes guys to rush differently. He has the ability to cover up that hole. And he has the ability to cover up the fact that the running game is still working things out and the running backs are still trying to find their footing. He can cover that hole up by just taking it off for 80 right in the middle by him damn self. So he has the ability to cover up holes. I certainly understand that and respect, his value and the fact that he is the majority. I mean, the players are the ones that get the majority of the praise and are the most responsible for the success. But outside of those guys, and certainly Lamar is the leader of that group, right behind them is Greg Roman as far as deserves the credit and the praise. The guy is leading the number one offense in football. And just remember, guys, no other team has more touchdowns than the Baltimore Ravens. And the guy tasked with figuring out how to score those touchdowns is Greg Roman. So I think all the Greg Roman haters should be coming out right now and saying that maybe they made a boo-boo. You know, like when we came out and we were critical of Justice Hill and we said that, you know, before training camp that he's the guy out, you know, he's the man. We've came to our senses and said that there's been obvious improvements. The guys played well. You made him your player of the week offensively. So let's hear it. Have a come to Jesus moment.
There
Greg Roman deserves some credit.
Let's give him some, Glenn. Shout out to Greg Roman. Look, hitting the weights and in the film room. I tell you what, Greg's looking a little slim and trim. He might be on the bike a little more these days.
Is he slimming down?
He's slimming down a little bit.
I mean, the dude's not lacking power. That's for sure.
No, he wants to build up that heart strength, man. He's trying
that's
to
right. Get
be
that
on this earth
going
for a minute.
You know what I'm saying? Laura says, "Hey guys, just wanted to say hi. We were late to the game because Sadie and I were at puppy school. Okay,
nice,
getting some training. All right, she's gonna be a well-behaved young lady. That Miss Sadie.
Yeah, I have my own rendition of puppy school.
What's that?
I don't know. I mean, is Coda pretty decently trained? That was whatever Coda is a result of my puppy school.
Yeah, I think he's a good boy. Yeah,
he
absolutely.
Tries.
Yeah.
Actually, we just got lucky. I'm a terrible trainer. He's just a really small
I know
dog.
there are some dogs that are certainly easier than others. I had a little miniature dachshund. This thing didn't care if I was upset with it. Didn't care. It did not. It just didn't care. Like I'd be like, it would do right in front of me. It would just do the one thing I didn't want it to do right in front of me, and not give a damn how upset I was. So
yeah.
The
emotional spectrum of a teaspoon, right?
No doubt, absolutely. So yeah, I now get dogs that care when I'm not happy.
Yeah.
It helps. Mark says Oweh trying to top his last year at Penn State with 0. Oh,
yeah.
man.
That was another question I had. I wrote down where is Adafe Oweh?
Yeah, man. I mean, the guy's got to get better. There's no excuses.
Let
me see how many snaps this guy played. I mean, what's your thoughts on him? He's running. He looks like a sock 'em bop 'em robot when he runs. Hey, when's the last time you seen a sock 'em bop 'em robot?
He's very right. No, he
straight up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's this athleticism? Show it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm concerned. I'm certainly concerned about Adafe, and I'm hoping that we can get more out of him. I don't know if I know what the answer is yet, other than simply saying you got to beat whatever's put in front of you and take advantage of every opportunity where you have one-on-one.
Yeah. I mean, let me just tell you what he did in this game, Jimbo.
Yep.
He played 86% of the defensive snaps. 86%. That's a pretty high number.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of playing. He notched a total 5 tackles, 0 for loss, 3 of which are solo. That's it.
Yeah.
That's not enough. You got to separate a little more from Broderick Washington, who you tied with.
Right.
You got to separate. I mean, by the way, Broderick Washington played in 50% of the snaps. How do you equal your snap count? I mean, you equal your statistical totals. I mean, you got to be better if you want to talk about all this hype. He was hyping himself up before the year, Jimbo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a concern. I'm hoping the best for him though, and not just hoping the best for him, but we need it. I mean, we need it, right? At the end of the year, we're gonna need it. So pass rush is crucial, and we need everything he's got. I'm hopeful that as the room gets healthier, it opens up some more opportunities for him. Sure, maybe he's not the guy that can just beat double teams, can be a TJ Watt, can be a Garrett or a Myles Garrett, but maybe we do get more out of him once the other guys come back. So we'll hope and hope for the best, even though hope is not a strategy. Bill Seal says G-Ro slander has always been suspect. Where's that energy? LOL. That's really funny. Where's the defund the defense energy at as well? Always on milk cartons in Canada. Made it all the way to Canada, huh, Bill?
There we go. All the way. Yeah, I mean, he's just got to be better. You know, always he's got to be better. But I get some of the when we would criticize G-Ro in the past for certain specific play calls, but yeah, It's hard to criticize the guy who's first in the league in virtually every meaningful category offensively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Why not elevate, or Tariq Kikik says, why not elevate Tyler Beatty instead of Davis or Drake? To me, the short answer, Glenn, is that they just like Davis or Drake better right now. I you know what I mean? But I think that all three of those names are, none of them are very long for the active roster. Because when Gus comes back, you better forget about it. The big three is what we're going to be calling them, dude. Talk about three-headed monster at tight end. We might have a three-headed monster in the backfield, not including Patrick Ricard.
And not including Justice Hill if you include Lamar Jackson.
Well, what I mean is just the running back. Sorry, the running back room.
Yeah. No, I think I might feel better if I'm Tyler Beatty than I would if I am Mike Davis or Kenyon Drake, because I think once Gus Edwards comes back, if everybody else remains healthy, it's likely that these guys won't be on the practice squad, where I think, and they'll just be gone outright. And Tyler Beatty, will still be, have his post on the practice squad. But
yeah,
I mean, they got to be able to trust. The thing is, if they're going to elevate Beatty and bench those other two guys or put them on the practice squad, then they got to be able to trust him to do everything on game day if need be. And maybe they don't trust him as a pass blocker, or they don't trust him in some regard. But yeah, I don't think they're getting anything out of Mike Davis right now. So I would be fine with them putting him down or cutting him entirely.
Putting him down, it just sounded funny.
To the practice squad.
Yeah, not take him to the vet.
No.
So I'm getting a little concerned, Glenn. This is the first time I've been concerned about this. I know we haven't talked about it for a few weeks. I want to spend a few minutes on it. I want to talk about Lamar Jackson's contract.
Oh my goodness.
Just really quickly. I know we said we weren't going to do this again, but Glenn,
why
really
are we doing it?
Because I don't think Bisciotti has the dollars. Like, I don't think he, as an owner, has the ability to give Lamar what he wants. Look, let me just answer this question. Do you think Steve Bisciotti is stupid?
No.
Do you think Eric DeCosta is stupid?
No.
Do you think they know exactly what happens every Sunday that Lamar Jackson plays the way he's playing?
I don't know if they could have guessed it'd be this good.
But
maybe they could have.
I mean, but we have to. But they know exactly what's happening, right?
They know he's a hell of a player. Yeah, they know. Yeah.
They know exactly what's happening to that price every single week, right?
So you think he's not financially able?
I don't think he.
Come on now,
dude. You're talking about $250 million.
Yeah, but he's worth, I think, 8.
I think it's like 4.5, but that doesn't mean he has it liquid.
Yeah, but come on, he ain't got a quarter of it.
I don't, for one guy.
I don't know. Look, I'm not worried about this, Jimbo. Okay,
I'm really
not
worried
going
about
down
it,
this.
Glenn.
I'm not worried about
concerned.
one bit. I think if he keeps playing like this, they'll give Steve Bisciotti might give him the damn team and let him play and be an owner of the owner operator.
That might be his only way to avoid putting a lot of money in escrow is turning around and saying, "We'll give you some equity in the team." I'm just saying,
whatever he gives to Lamar, it'll come back.
No, I agree with you 100%. I'm just concerned. I just started thinking about this week. And
all right.
I'm concerned about it.
Don't rain on my parade ever again here, Jimbo.
Oh my gosh, get out of here.
Don't burst my bubble.
Look, I'm getting a little concerned.
Look, here's what I want to take a bit of a peek into next week. I know we're diving.
Let's talk about some storylines.
Yeah, we're diving heavily into it. Obviously, this coming Thursday, we're going to effort to get a guest. Last week's guest, unfortunately, couldn't make it at the very last moment. So we're gonna certainly try and bring you a guest this week. But I want to talk about a couple of things that's got me a little nervous right now, Jimbo.
Okay. And get fired up. You're going to get even more nervous because if you remember our Bills guy, he's a Bills guy.
Yeah, I hit him up, by the way.
Oh, nice. Did you?
So hopefully he gets back to me.
He likes his Bills.
Yes, he does. And I have a feeling that this guy really likes these Bills because there's a lot to like. All right, so the reason I am concerned right now is that this Bills team is really, really good. They lost last week. They lost to the Miami Dolphins. However,
the statistics are stupid, though.
Dude, they're so complete. It's unbelievable. Right now, they have, they have the number one offense. I'm sorry. They have the number 2 offense and the number 1 defense in football as far as yards. And then when you go to points, they have the number 3 offense and the number 4 defense. So they're a very complete team. And they lost by 2 points to Miami, and they had 6 starters on defense missing. And they still 6 starters, right? They let me just, because this is just unbelievable. They were missing 6 starters, and they played against Miami on the road in South Florida. And we know how explosive that Miami offense is. They only gave up 212 yards total. They had 497 yards of their own. They gave up 212 yards, and they lost because they had a couple bonehead decisions and bad and because it could have been, I mean, who knows the reason, but they had some bad moments. But they went 11 of 18 on third down, which scares the hell out of me. And they had more than double the Miami Dolphins offense, more than double, and they lost by 2 points. So if they get some of those starters back, I'm nervous here, Jim.
Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's the Hyde. I mean, he's obviously gone for the season.
But Poyer,
and I think he's also going to miss the game as well.
And Tre'Davious White, he was out.
Yeah, so
he's as good as they get.
Let me tell you what, Glenn. You know how worried I am about this game? Not as worried as I should be. No, I'm worried about this game, but I'm also not, because, man, I really think that this is an opportunity for us to. I think the Ravens, they had their home opener. They obviously pissed the bed a little bit, and this is an opportunity to give some redemption to the fans. Come home and make this thing right. Close the chapter on the AFC. What is it, the AFC East? 3-1, right? If I'm not mistaken, is my math right? Yeah. I think that we can get it done. I think that our run game can do enough to keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands so much. I think that their lack of a run game, every single week he leads the team in rushing. Now, I can't say much different about Lamar Jackson, but every single week they depend on him heavily to rush. And so I think that their lack of a run game could be an issue outside of Josh. And ultimately their secondary. Look, this is funny because in 2019, I would have not been worried if I were the Bills playing the Ravens from a secondary perspective, the health of my secondary. But you better believe I'm worried about it now, because Lamar Jackson is throwing that rock all over the yard. And so if your secondary is out there, you're going up against the guy at home that is leading the league in touchdown passes. The Bills got problems of their own.
Oh, yeah. Namely injuries.
No,
you're talking about with the Ravens? Yeah.
Right, they got problems of their own. They're playing the guy that's number 1 lead touchdown passes with a banged up secondary. Yeah. And to me, what that means is that we think that a guy like Mark Andrews had a field day. I mean, last week he had a good game. What's he about to do when he's got a third string safety on him? I mean, it's just going to be night, right? Same thing with Isaiah Likely. I think even go off. Same thing with Duvernay to a certain respect. But I think that this is going to be a classic game. I wouldn't be as worried as you seem to be at this moment. What I'm most worried about is the psyche. They just came off a big loss, and they're going to want to come back and they play with some urgency.
Yeah, and they got Von Miller.
Yeah, that's a concern. I mean, if you got Von Miller against Falele, like, that's a problem.
You better help him.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of things to be concerned about.
Yeah,
but I'm not.
Look,
I'm
this
not
offense is number one. I'm not saying I'm not. This is still the number 1 offense in football is led by the current MVP and Lamar Jackson, and I still think that the Ravens have a very good shot to beat this team. But I think this is the toughest team that they'll play all season. I think this is the best team in the league as far as roster completeness, as far as being seemingly just as dominant on either side of the football.
Yeah.
They're a hungry team, a team that's been beaten on the door for a couple of years and trying to knock their way in. And I think that they believe that Von Miller and Jamison Crowder and some of these guys were the missing pieces. So this could be a preview of the AFC Championship. This could be a preview of the winner of this game could be the team that represents the AFC in the Super Bowl.
No, this will
be a really
be
good team.
I think, like you said, there's a very high likelihood that this is the AFC Championship game. And whoever thought that it wasn't and didn't make this game prime time, shame on you.
Yeah,
shame on you.
What is the primetime games this week?
I don't know. Who cares?
Let
Definitely
me
not
see.
Bills Ravens.
Week 4. Let me see who the primetime games are this week. Because, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous that they didn't make that a reality. But yeah, so I mean, I'm obviously concerned. This team is ridiculously good on third
Yep.
down.
Yep.
They can light it up, man. But let's hope that, because you're right, Jimbo. They not only do they not have a consistent or strong run attack, they sometimes abandon it outright
Yeah.
and completely, even when they're having success in the few times they try it, they'll still get completely away from it and put the ball solely in the hands and on the arm of Josh Allen, who will, admittedly scramble and turn a pass into a run on
Yeah.
his own. But as far as called run plays, yeah, there's quite a few far between. But I will say last week, one guy did pop a long run. Zach Moss popped the
That, of
43
course he did.
yarder. You know?
I tell you what, it pains me, of course, to say that they don't have a run attack because I was expecting more of Zach coming into the NFL. I wanted the Ravens to draft him, and I think he would do more on a team that is more committed to the run, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, I think that they're going to struggle there.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see because I feel like they have some fast backers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that could also be a problem if we get the run game going. I'm not saying that they're a bad defense, and don't count me in as a Josh Allen doubter either. But if I'm not mistaken, in addition to that, Josh Allen also led the league in dropped interceptions not too long ago. It was like 22.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that was last year, it was the year prior. But my point is that Joshua let his guys make a play, and sometimes he tries to thread that needle a little too much. And look, we got the guys in the back end. Obviously, Marcus can get it done, and then you see a guy like both Marcus Williams and Marcus Peters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I think this is going to be one heck of a matchup. What I'm interested to get into on Thursday, guys, is how everyone says styles make fights, right? So how does these two styles match up with one another? Where can the Ravens find an advantage? Where can the Bills find an advantage? Vice versa. That's really, I think, what the entire conversation is going to be on Thursday. At the end of the day, right now, I think storylines are Josh against Lamar, but how does our O-line stand up to that defense? How does their secondary stand up to our elite passing game at this point? I think that those are also, questions that we need answered.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a good one, though, man. This is going to be, if the Ravens can knock off the Bills, first of all, Lamar Jackson will be cemented firmly in the driver's seat of MVP.
Yep.
But also, the Ravens will undoubtedly be the number one team in the AFC. And if you're the number one
maybe
team in the
except the
AFC,
Dolphins.
maybe, but I'll tell you what, I think the Dolphins are going to get smashed this week. I think they're set up for just a bad.
They play the Bengals, you said?
They play the Bengals on Thursday night after playing a ton of plays, especially defensively.
Yeah, and Tua suffering that back injury.
Yeah, Tua's banged up. I don't even know if he's going to play. Waddle didn't practice today, which I'm sure a lot of guys didn't. I mean, they ran. It's hot, I think the only thing benefiting them is that they do get to go to Cincinnati and play on Thursday. What's going on, Jimbo?
Sorry.
Oh,
didn't mean to give that guy any airtime. Sorry.
Man. Okay. Yeah. That's
I'm
fine.
done with that.
But by the way, the primetime games that are on the schedule for this week is Chiefs, Bucks. Man, the Buccaneers, man.
They love themselves some Tom Brady, don't they?
Well, they've had a monster schedule, dude. I mean, they got the Chiefs this week. They had the Packers last week. Who'd they have? They've had a tough one. It seems like every game is a tough team. And then on Monday night, they got Rams and Niners, which the Niners to me are just. Ugh.
Yeah. Is there any way Giselle secretly watches the game and doesn't hope Tom gets beat up, but is kind of glad when they lose?
Well, maybe glad that they're if they're not competing, then I doubt he's coming back. And maybe
or is
she's
she
ready for him
afraid
to
that
retire.
dang it, it's gonna keep the fire going? Maybe if he wins it,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Let him win one more so he can ride off into the sunset.
Just get it over with. Let's just do this thing. But anyway, I think that's it for us tonight.
Yeah.
This week we're gonna be putting out our video to our patrons. So if you are a patron, go check it out. If you're not, Go check it out. Of course, $1 a month gets you access to DK's articles. The following tiers get additional benefits, including a monthly video from us where you can ask us anything you want. I saw a question come in, Glenn, that I'm interested to talk about. It was football or otherwise, what has been our biggest disagreement? And I was trying really hard to think about it because I don't think we've ever had like a fundamental disagreement.
Outside of like football, I mean, or sports.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that was a lasting,
or even
like,
inside.
yeah, like this is my belief system and it is polar opposite of what you know what I mean? Like there's no overlap, you know? So anyway, we'll have to think of something, but there's all kinds of questions in there. You guys can go ahead and become a patron. And of course, it's the best way to support the show. So we greatly appreciate it. So
don't we have a over under announcement? The winner?
Yeah. Sorry, Sean. Good call.
Yes, thank you.
Didn't DK let us know who the winner was?
He did. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, because we had a ton of submissions here.
I think I have it.
You got it?
Zach Trotta? Is that?
Was it Zach?
Oh, no. Zach was our first. Sorry, Don Trotta won. Looks like he's related to Zach Trotta. So the Trottas are running away with it.
Wow.
Appreciate the reminder, Sean Pisker. So shout out to Don Trotta.
Yep.
Nice work. I confirmed that Zach's shirt has been sent or has been shipped. I put in the order, but I got the notification it was shipped yesterday. So yours shortly will be.
Did we ever hear from Tev Dog this week?
We have not. I don't think so. DK, correct us if we're wrong. DK's here. DK, have we heard anything from Tev Dog as far as his address to get him out the shirt? Okay, Tev Dog, if you're out there, send us your information in a DM and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, and we'll get you out your shirt. Dom Trotta, there he is.
My man.
Yeah, dude, I'll be at the game Sunday. Concerned about Lamar in the rain, but hoping we'll pull out the win. P.S. Here's my bride money for the comp.
Bribe money? Maybe you meant bribe.
I like it. Either way. There you go.
We don't accept bribes here. We're all about competitive integrity around here.
Right.
Okay.
How dare you? No.
Look, Lamar in the rain. So are they already predicting rain for this Sunday? That would be a bummer, man. I want to see these two offenses going at it, dude. I want to see them going at it under the best conditions. I don't want to see no dang stinking rain messing things up.
Oh, yeah, it's 70% on Sunday in Baltimore. 70% likely. Well, that'll be interesting to see. I mean, we'll see which team it affects more, right?
Yeah, but that just bummed. I wanted to see these two teams really just at their best.
I just want to see us win.
Who handles the rain better? Yeah, I hear you. But damn. And Adam, damn, he's gonna be there. I feel bad for the fans. Anytime there's a rainy, wet. Look, last time me and Jimbo were at the game, dude. We were.
DK was there too.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah, slipping. My bad. Soaking wet. Wet.
And it was the last game of the season. So it was what, January?
It's cold, and I thought I had the right clothing. Mistakes were made, but live and learn, and I will never make that mistake again. My goodness. Thank goodness the game was so good that it kept you like jacked up and
until we lost. It was good until it wasn't.
Until Big Ben got the last laugh.
Gosh. Yeah. Anyway, well, that's it for us tonight, folks. Thanks for coming out. We are looking forward to Thursday. Like Glenn said, we have reached out to a guest we've had on the show before. We're hoping to get some good insight from him. In addition to that, we will break down all things Bills, Ravens on Thursday. We're looking forward to it. Dom, we'll get you out your shirt, and we'll also put out our new over-under. Just because you've won once doesn't mean you can't win again. Right. I think DK, before he was part of the show, won 3 weeks in a row. I mean, look.
That's why he's on the show.
That's right. Legitimately.
You can't beat him. You invite him to join you.
That's right. So make sure you guys check it out, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.
See you.